What is going good, fellas, and welcome back to another video here on my YouTube channel. My name is Marvin, and on today's video I'm gonna react to how big the US actually is. Well, I've been to New York City and I drove to New Jersey. That is just a little poop of a fly, I know, so if you see it on the map. But on today's video we are watching how big it actually is, and I believe that it is insane, and I would say we hop right into that video. Let's go.
Is currently the world's sole superpower with military installations around the world. As a country, its geography spans from subtropical forests to rolling plains, scorching deserts, and Arctic wastes. But just how big is the US really in comparison to the rest of the world? Hello and welcome to another episode of the Infographic Show. Today we're taking a look at how big the US really is. The US is approximately 5,680,000 square miles, with terrain that varies dramatically. Only Russia at 10.6 million square miles and Canada at 6,205,000 square miles are larger than the US. Its three biggest states, Alaska at 663,000 square miles, Texas at 270,000 square miles, and California at 160,000 square miles, combined would be the 17th largest nation in the world, immediately after Sudan at 1.
Hey, and we're just talking about 3 states here, yeah? So this is insane. It is 3 states out of, how much? 50, 52, something about around that.
Square miles, and right before Libya at
this
1 million square
that
miles.
Is really insane.
In total, the US is larger than the 107 smallest countries in the world combined. With about 327 million people, the United States is also the 3rd most populated nation on Earth, having a total of 4.28% of the total world population. With a net yearly migration rate of approximately 900,000 people, the US is by far the one place the rest of the world wants to live.
Yeah, but I think the migration rate is also that high because Hollywood makes its work. Everybody wants to live like the American dream, wants to come to the US, want to be as individual as Americans are, so being their self, develop as yourself. So I'm not really wondering about that, but what I'm wondering about is Germany with 550,000 people yearly migration. This is pretty much, if you imagine that we just have around 80 million inhabitants. So you have to make this number multiplied by 4, then you are around at the population of the US, and yeah, then Germany has a higher percentage of migration. That is really wondering. But yeah, we have a lot of problems down, so in Africa, and a lot of people coming to Europe, and the most of them just wanting to come to Germany because of the reputation of the social system and stuff like that. So yeah, I leave it like that, but
coming in second,
I'm wondering about that.
50,000 migrants, and Turkey in third with 325,000 migrants. In the US, 83% of the population lives in cities, with its 3 most populated cities being New York City with 8.5 million people, Los Angeles with 4 million people, and Chicago with 2.7 million people. All combined, the population of the US's 3 biggest cities is equal to the population of Chad with 14.5 million people. Just these 3 cities alone are also more populated than Cuba with 11.5 million people, Belgium with 11.3 million people, and Greece with 11.2 million people. When counting the greater metropolitan area, New York City is the 10th largest city in the world, with a total population of 18.6 million people, just behind Cairo with 18.8 million people. And just ahead of Dhaka,
Cairo, Dhaka, a lot of inhabitants. I did not know that.
New York City area,
this is
the
insane.
63rd largest country in the world, just ahead of Syria with 18 million people. The U.S. is the world's largest economy with a gross domestic product of $20.4 trillion, or 23.3% of the total global economy. China is just behind the U.S. at $14 trillion and 16.1% of the total global economy. When measured by purchasing power parity, or the price of goods and services versus individual incomes, the U.S. comes at number 2 to China, whose GDP PPP is $25.2 trillion. This means that while the Chinese economy is about 30% smaller than the US's, Chinese individuals have on average 20% greater purchasing power in their own
Okay,
country.
yeah. That just means that the products are relatively cheap to the salaries, but I think that statistic is not really the truth, because in China you have a big, how to say it, a society that is very, very rich, and then you have like the middle class, and the middle class has really a lot of problems by paying their rents in bigger cities like Beijing. Yeah, Hong Kong is not really China, but let's say it's also Hong Kong. So I don't know if that really is the truth for everybody in China, but in general, products are cheaper, salaries are higher, and therefore you have a greater purchasing power. Makes sense, but that will change in the near future. I'm pretty sure about that, because yeah, salaries have to increase, and therefore the purchasing power also sinks. Why? Because the products are getting a bit more expensive, because you have to pay the salaries and calculate everything new. So this is just if an economy is a bit older, this is just a normal development that, yeah, the purchasing power is shrinking.
The three biggest economies within the U.S. states are California with a GDP of $2.6 trillion, Texas with a GDP of $1.6 trillion, and
Wow.
New York with a GDP
What?
of $1.5 trillion. Altogether, these three states would be the world's third largest economy, just ahead of Japan with a GDP of $5 trillion. California's economy alone is as big as the United Kingdom's, Texas's is as big as Canada's, and New York's is as big as South Korea's. The United States also has the best equipped military in the world, though it's only the third largest at 1,282,000 active duty personnel. Ahead of it are India with 1.4 million active duty personnel.
Okay. Yeah, and India has, I don't know, a few billion inhabitants, also China. So this is not really in a good comparison if you compare with all of your inhabitants that you have within your country.
And China with 2.1 million active duty personnel. The U.S. spends over $610 billion on its military every year, or 3.1% of its total GDP.
That's a lot.
35% of the world's total military expenditure, and more than the next 9 nations combined. Just behind it are China with $150 billion in expenditures, and Saudi Arabia with $76 billion in expenditures. The United States also has the most military bases in the most foreign countries in the world, with approximately 800 military installations in 80 countries, possibly more military bases in more foreign lands than any
the
nation.
US has also a military base in Germany, at least one. Maybe they have more. Ramstein, I think it's the name of that. But yeah, really cool. I did not really know that. I knew, okay, they have some military installations around the world just for strategic reasons and stuff like that. But that it is over 800? This is a pretty large amount, if you ask me. Yeah, so pretty nice to hear that now.
Or empire in history. The cost of maintaining these bases alone is about $156 billion, more than China spends on its entire military. On the civilian side, the U.S. has the world's third largest police force, with 913,000 total police officers, placing it just behind India at number 1 with 1.9 million police officers, and China with 1.6 million police officers.
Hey, that means for 320 people, say like around it, or let's say 350 people, we have 1 police officer in the whole country of the US. I think that's pretty much, and normally should bring more security to the country. I don't know if it is like that. Write it down in the comments if you feel secure. It would be very interesting to know. Or are there still some places where, yeah, it is maybe not that secure? I don't know. Would be interesting to know. Write it down in the comment section if you have some more information about that.
The U.S. is the most expensive nation on earth, with a health expenditure per capita of $10,350, placing it ahead of Switzerland at $7,900 and Germany at $5,550. While on average,
but here I have to say that I'm not really into it, but I think that the costs for health security or healthcare are way higher in the US. Just because of the salaries of the doctors, they are earning a lot of money, and in my opinion, that's worth it, absolutely. But the German doctors normally do not really earn that much. I mean, they're living on a high standard, that's for sure, but they're not millionaires like in the US. So yeah.
Rest of the world spends about 10.3% of its GDP on healthcare. The US spends 18% of its GDP on healthcare. The United States is a large, complex nation, big enough to host several different distinct accents within its own borders. Its people are hardworking and industrious, leading the world's economy. But despite what recent political events might indicate, they're also the most welcoming nation in the world, with 3 times the number of immigrants than nations in either the number 2 or number 3 spot in a global comparison.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what I meant, or what I really felt when I came to New York City. I think New York is a really, really big melting pot. A lot of nations coming together. We had the Halal boys. And then I've met an Egypt guy, and yeah, he said, hey, they are really famous in Egypt. So he came to New York and ate from the Halal boys. Then we had pizzas. We had other very nice things. Taco number 1, for example. So tacos, burgers, and yeah, all of these things are coming together, and it's really, really nice to see that everybody, just can work together and being a nation, being proud of that nation. And yeah, this is really something that you don't see very often around the world.
The US isn't the only welcoming place in the world. We've never felt more welcomed than when we signed up with Wix to build a website.
Okay, we are skipping this. Yeah, this was pretty much the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos or reactions from me reacting to things. If you have any more suggestions, write it down in the comment section, would be nice. I read it, maybe I make a video out of it. And yeah, with everything being said, I wish you guys a great day, a great week, and see you hopefully next time. Goodbye.